All right, all right. Hello, all you sports fans out there in podcast land, and welcome once again to another edition of Babbling Brooks, your new favorite podcast, where I, your host Brooks, try to bring you some of today's sports news with just a little twist of my point of view. Hope the week is going great for everyone so far. Be a kind of quick episode today because my dumbass forgot the Braves having 12:35 game. I knew there was a reason I was up kind of early today, but instead I was like, you know what? I'm kind of tired. I went back to sleep. I woke up at 8, so about 10 a.m. I was like, I'm going back to sleep for a couple hours. And I woke up a little while ago. I just wasn't thinking about it, watching the highlights, I'd already done my notes before my nap, so then I was like, well, let's see if anything new has been written about, the last couple hours about the Braves. And I was like, how am I? I saw something about today's lineup or something. I'm like, why is the lineup posted already? It's noon. Then I was like, oh shit, it's a day game. I just said that yesterday, and I forgot. All that weed I was smoking while watching the game last night. But either way, this will be a quick episode because I'm definitely going to miss the beginning of today's game because I'm starting to record this. It is now 12:10 and the game is at 12:35. So that means Ronald Acuna Jr. is probably going to hit a home run since I'm not watching. That's what happened the other day. I missed the opening at bat and it was a home run. You didn't do that yesterday, but the Braves still finding a way to get the win last night, and that's what we'll be talking about. Of course, there will be some NFL football tonight, a doubleheader and Thursday night football. Can't remember the teams. Not the Panthers, though. So the Panthers, I saw their practice was actually canceled today because of the weather. So I'm going to blame the weather for me forgetting about the Braves because it just was like such a downpour there for a few minutes. I'm like, well, this is go back to sleep weather when the storms roll through. It's like every year, I swear, Georgia is more like fucking Florida when it comes to this summertime, like humidity and stormy weather stuff. But regardless, the Braves overcoming some stormy moments yesterday with a 6-5 win. Max Fried had 3 really good innings, only giving up 3 hits, no runs in 3 innings. But in the 4th, it was just, it felt like a lot of bad luck. Because it wasn't like he was giving up these big hits. It was all like little things. But he looked good. Let's focus on the positive first. He did look really good those first 3 innings. And it's only his second start coming back off the injured list, so he had missed some time. It wasn't like it was going to be all roses. But we'll start at the end because, not the end, but pretty close. Michael Harris II tagging up in the top of the 8th inning to score what ends up being the winning run in this one. And I remember at first I was like, oh no, I knew it was too good to be true. Because that was one of those things, I didn't see it happen live. Because for some reason, every single live stream online was just not working right. It's almost like it's illegal or something. But, so I missed it. I just saw him sliding into home. I was like, yes, there we go. And then they're like, well, they reviewed it because it's that thing where you can just appeal to the umpire, they do it with a lot of times with swings, but that's more of the other umpire doing it. But it's one of those things when it comes to tagging stuff, the other team can be like, hey, we appealed to this umpire to see if we think he left too early, and they're like, yep, he left too early. But Ron Washington immediately, I thought Ron Washington was about to get tossed. Because he was going in on that third base umpire. You can see, I thought it was hilarious that Ozzie Albies kind of comes over to sort of chill him out. Because he's like, hey man, you don't need to be getting fined. That would be what I would assume he was saying. Because he's just kind of comes in between just a little bit to bring Ron over. And then Michael Harris II, because he's in the dugout celebrating. And he's like, wait a minute, what do you mean? I'm out. That's some bullshit. So he, Snicker's like, hey man, did you leave early? He's like, hell no. No, he just said no, probably. I was like, hell no, I didn't leave early. And then when you watch the replay, it was pretty damn obvious that he did not leave early. He waited until the ball was caught. It's actually a really smart move. Apparently Ron was telling him to stay, to sort of just do a fake go. But then when, because it was hit to right field, so shallow right field. Normally in that situation, the right fielder makes the catch, and it's an easy momentum-based throw. You're already moving towards home plate, so it's pretty damn easy for you to just throw it straight in there. Not easy, easy for me to say easy, right? As I always say, or sometimes say. But like Michael Harris II noticed that the second baseman was the one who took the catch. So when the second baseman makes that catch, it's a little different because he is running towards the outfield, towards the fence, away from home plate. So when he has to make that throw to home plate, he has to totally stop and pretty much turn everything all the way around and then make the throw. And I love Michael Harris II slide. It was like a head first slide that looked like it went like 3 feet past the plate. And just some brilliant base running because they're already in his second year able to sort of notice some stuff like, hey, that, the outfielder's not catching that ball. That increases my odds. And, it'd been a back and forth game. The Braves went up 4-0. Go into more detail on that in a second. But then the lead just disappeared in that fourth inning where Max Fried just giving up run after run on these little dinkers and not much hard contact at all. But just like that, the Braves lead dissipated, disappeared, gone. But then, the Braves would get a run, but then the Pirates would get a run. So, tied game at 5. Michael Harris II was like, man, I'm here on third. We have left way too many dudes on base. I ain't waiting to the next guy to try to drive me home. Because you got to remember, the Braves in this game just, at this point, they had already left the bases loaded twice. Normally, you do that, you ain't winning. That was the thing. As soon as, that first inning of the Braves was, they ended up with a 4-0 lead, but before that happened, they had that scoreless first where they, loaded the bases. And honestly, anytime my team, the Braves, anytime they load the bases in the first and no one scores, I start thinking we're going to lose this game. Because that's just not a good way to start. Leaving the bases loaded sucks, but it's going to happen. So I do appreciate the Braves didn't let them get it down. But at least some of that probably is in Michael Harris II's mind when he is there on third base. And he knows that time is running out. If he does not make it home, he could get stranded on base. And he's like, I don't want to be stranded like damn Gilligan out here on this third base island. So, respect and great thing, and just showing why he was the Rookie of the Year last year. And just what an incredible season Michael Harris II has had after starting out kind of rough. Even before getting hurt, he wasn't quite finding his sweet spot, was struggling to carry over some of that success from last year. That's going to happen sometimes. Everybody, a lot of guys going to have a little bit of a sophomore slump, but you really got to love Michael Harris II not letting it be a season-long thing. A lot of dudes, they start out like that, deal with multiple injuries early in the season, missing games, missing your opportunity to get your rhythm going as a batter, as a player. Only his first full season. This is the thing. He was not with the club at the beginning of last year. So it was a little different experience for him. People are ready for him. People have been watching tape. People aren't going to be surprised by Michael Harris II anymore. But just for him to still, despite all that and the terrible start to the season where he was hitting 100 and something, wasn't it? He was hitting the 100s in June. But now he's moving on up, he's hit 340 since then. Something like that. I don't have my phone in front of me. Having some issues with it or it's not charging anymore. I think it's related to getting in that storm the other day. And just I've had the phone for a couple years. And let's face it, I'm probably rough on it. A lot of bouncing around. And washing dishes, it probably gets the occasional moisture. But it is finally after few months really of off and on. Not, seeming like it's not going to charge or having some trouble charging, but eventually charging in the end. So I'm fuck it, I'm not going to worry about it. And then all of a sudden yesterday, it was oh, great, it's just not going to charge now. It's plug out, blah, blah, blah. So I'm letting the battery conserve because I did do the insurance claim through the phone company. So it's on its way, the replacement phone. But I don't know how long it's going to take. So I'm it's not going to come today, obviously. So I want to make sure I have my phone fully functional through my work shift. Whereas I don't necessarily need it right this second. So a little bit different because usually I'll have my notes, but my phone is what I use for a lot of stuff. like looking at standings, stuff like that. But like I said, this is going to be kind of a quick episode. And it was a fun game to watch, though. The Braves, making you nervous, leaving the guys on in the beginning. But just Michael Harris II, man, you just can't give enough credit to what this kid's been able to accomplish. Year 2, all eyes on him. And he's like, all right, let's do it. And him, Ronald Acuna, and Ozzie Albies, that's your 9, your 1, and your 2. So 3 hitters in a row all had 3 hits. That's the kind of shit that's going to lead this team far. Hopefully combined with some better pitching. I just think it's just one of those things. It's like the dog days of summer. It's going to catch up with you sometimes, and it's been a rough run through the rotation. Probably the roughest run through the rotation that we've had this year. But we've still been able to. We just won 2 games though. We're not on a big losing streak. That's what's so great about this team, is that it's like they're always picking each other up. Like one aspect of the team might be struggling right now. That's our starting pitchers. And the bullpen's getting a lot of work, and they're doing a pretty damn good job for the most part. Colin McHugh, the only guy in the bullpen giving up runs in this one. Raisel Iglesias ends up with save number 21. No, 22. Sorry, 21 was yesterday. Only a 2-out save too. Giving up 2 hits, 2 runs. Not 2 runs. 2 strikeouts. Well, that doesn't make sense. He got a couple guys on base. He didn't give up any runs. I just can't read my writing. But getting out there, a lot of people, kind of get nervous when you're like, this is day number 3. He's pitched in a row. And usually, the 3rd night in a row that Raisel goes out there, things, tend to not go as well. But he got a couple guys on base, but gets out of it in the end. And I wasn't as worried because I remember saying to myself, I remembered the first of these 3 days in a row, he only had to use 15 pitches to get out. So that was a pretty quick. That was when the non-save opportunity in the opening game of this series. So I wasn't as nervous as I would have been. I was and I was listening to the Pirates broadcast. I'm sure they were being hopeful that it would be bad. That's one of the fun thing about baseball and basketball is you actually get to watch biased announcers, which is kind of fun sometimes. Because with football is always nationally broadcast, but when when it comes to baseball and basketball, with it being the regional sports networks, still that's the one good thing about the regional sports networks is the teams having their own announcers. So when you're watching the Braves, you're kind of cheering along with the guys. And that's something I grew up being used to with the Braves. Because every one of their games was on TBS back in the day. So you could just always have the Braves announcers, and that was cool. But good job for Raisel. That definitely means hopefully the Braves can have a good offensive performance today, because Raisel Iglesias will not be available for sure today for save opportunities, without a doubt. And we talked a lot about the end of the game, but let's talk about how we got there. How did we get to the opportunity for Michael Harris II to score the winning run? For Raisel Iglesias to make that the winning run by locking up and shutting down the Pirates, not allowing anyone to cross home plate. He's like, we ain't going to have to worry about any more of this. Excuse me. So, what we had starting out in the 2nd inning after leaving the bases loaded in the 1st, Michael Harris II, he scored the winning run. He also drove across the 1st one. Started the scoring RBI single in the 2nd inning, knocking across Orlando Arcia, who was 1 of 5 in this one. 1-zip Braves. Kind of cool, the Braves just doing a little bit at a time in this one. We use the home run so much. We hit so damn many home runs, and it's a beautiful thing. It's also kind of cool to see him do it without the home run. Just doing a little bit of everything else in order to score. Getting a winning run on a sacrifice fly, that's some baseball right there, baby. Some fundamentals, some basic baseball shit that's just beautiful. And then next inning coming up in the 3rd inning, Sean Murphy getting his 1 hit of the game. He's 1 of 4, knocking in Austin Riley, who was 2 of 4. So good job for Austin. Couldn't get in the 3-hit club with the guys ahead of him in the lineup, but he still has a pretty damn good game. And then Ronald Acuna Jr., lead off guy, coming in. It was a lot of question of whether he would be in this game after getting hit on the elbow with the pitch and leaving the game in game 2 of this series. So I was at the point where I was like, I wouldn't be surprised to see him sit out, just precautionary, but he's fine. The X-ray is negative. And I feel like he told Snicker. I feel like Snicker was like, Ronald, if you need to take a day off, you can. And Ronald's like, no, let's play. However you say that, you got us. I think that means we play, right? I don't know. I need to start taking my Spanish lessons again. But Ronald Acuna Jr. said he was one of 3 Braves with 3 hits in this one, 3 of 6 on the game. Helps him. RBI double. Followed by Ozzie Albies. RBI single. Just like that. The Braves are up 4-0. Ronald ended up 3 of 6. Ozzie was 3 of 5 in this one. What a great trio to have, a trio of hits. 4-0 lead. Braves are feeling pretty good going into the bottom of the 4th inning. Like I said, just different ways. Driving in some singles and doubles. No homers, but getting it done. And Max Fried, 3 shutout innings, looking like it's going to be back-to-back. Beautiful starts by the magnificent Max in his return from the injured list, but it was not to be. Just a rough turn, like I said, through the rotation. Gonna happen time to time. And just like that, loads the bases up for a walk, a single, hitting the dude with a pitch. And you can tell Max is just like, damn, what am I doing? You can just see the frustration. And it's like, what the hell, man? So just like that, the bases are loaded. And then it looks like, it looks like a potential double play grounder. Maybe a little bit too slow. Maybe Orlando Arcia was playing back a little too much. But then not only did they not turn it into a double play, the Braves couldn't even get one out of it. Arcia just seemed to hesitate a little too much. Like maybe he was thinking about throwing the ball to second before realizing that, hey, man, it took me way too long to get the ball. Like, there is no play at second, so try to throw to first. But by the time he threw to first, dude was safe. Everybody's safe all around. First, they got a run in. And you're like, run. That's why you have a 4-run lead. And then just like that, 2 RBI single. Hayes, who has been the one in this series, like he has just had some really solid games. Also had at least 2 home runs in this series so far. So without my actual looking at my pad, I can't look up anything I didn't think of earlier. But yeah, just like that, man. Infield single, ground out, 2 guys across. Hayes ties it up with his 2 RBI single. Lead just gone, just like that. 4-0 lead. Like, yeah, it's early, but you still feel pretty good, even on the road. About a 4-0 lead, especially when you've got Max Fried, last year's National League Cy Young runner-up on the mound. You're like, man, Max is going to keep dealing. And he did, and he got dealt. It wasn't all his fault. Austin Riley has an error. Then, of course, Orlando sort of on the hesitation. And just sometimes you're just unlucky with where the ball gets hit to. Because, like I said, these weren't any hard-hit balls for the most part. Just a bunch of dinking and dipping kind of shit. But, hey, man, the Braves had, the bullpen come in. Colin McHugh coming in, pitching 2 2/3 inning. And only giving up 1 hit and 1 run coming on the same pitch. Talk about Hayes with a home run. Didn't walk anybody and struck out 4. So, good job for Colin after a couple kind of, not too long ago, just some rough kind of outings. To see him give us some quality innings is very good because, this is multiple games. Like, every game this series, the pitcher's getting driven out early. Yanni, Max, Spencer couldn't even make it out the 3rd inning, which is just unheard of for Spencer Strider. This Pirates team just seems to have our number, sort of, but not totally. They have our starting pitcher's number, but our offense still coming through. Our bullpen doing a pretty damn good job. Pierce Johnson getting his first win as a Brave. He is 2-6 on the season. Pitched 2 outs there. I guess it was the 7th inning. So when Michael Harris scored in the 8th, Pierce was the pitcher of record for the Braves, and still neither one of our Rockies pickups, him and Brad Hand, neither one has given up any runs since their trades to the Bravos. So I bet they are damn glad to be out of Coors Field. That mile highness that'll just kick your ass sometimes as a pitcher, especially a reliever when your ERA can really swing wildly because you're just pitching, maybe an inning here or there. In this case, not even a full inning. And of course, AJ Minter pitching a couple outs to finish the 8th inning. 0 hits, 0 walks, 1 strikeout, setting it up for Raisel Iglesias, like we mentioned earlier. Gave up a couple of hits, so you get a little nervous. Ends up with a couple strikeouts, stranded some dudes on the base, save number 22 on the year. Just what a year he's having. Missing some time with injury. He's had a couple hiccups, but always seems to bounce back. Hopefully he enjoys his day off because he will not be pitching today. Hopefully the Braves can build up a nice little lead, not have to worry about a save situation. They will have an opportunity to win this series. Let's talk about some of the other batters. We talked so much about the big three. Michael Harris II, Ronald Acuna Jr., Ozzie fucking Albies. Each had 3 hits. Of course, the only Brave that didn't have any hit, only starter at least with no hits, was Matt Olson. He was 0-2, but he got on base 3 times via walk. 2 of those were intentional. So that just showing guys are afraid of Matt Olson. And I looked at the MLB stats. He is number 10 in strikeouts. He's tied. So within a couple days, he's out of the top 10 in strikeouts. After leading the league not too long ago, he's still number 2 in Major League Baseball in home runs to only Shohei Ohtani. It's 40 homers for Shohei, 39 for Matt Olson. Definitely one time he came up, I was like, ooh, come on, let's do it. Home run right here, man. Let's make it. And but wasn't to be, but he's higher in the league rankings in walks than he is in strikeouts. So that's what you like to see from your league, the guy that is leading the National League in home runs. Like normally you're hitting home runs like that, you're probably striking out a fair amount of times. But just the way he's been able to, as the season goes on, just the strikeouts just go less and less because he was striking out like nobody's business early in the year. And now it's just like, damn, when he ain't striking out too much. It happens, but not like what you would expect from someone driving in runs and hitting the ball as hard as he does to have, be number 5 in the league in walks and tied for number 10 in strikeouts while you're number 2 overall in home runs. It's pretty damn impressive. Also in this, we had Ozuna, 1 of 5. He had the strikeouts in this one. 1 of 3 strikeouts. Eddie Rosario, 1 of 4. Kevin Pillar getting an opportunity. The only other Brave without a hit, but he only had 1 at bat, so you're not going to hold it against him too much. He's 0-1. Orlando Arcia, after getting the winning hit the previous game, he had 1 of 5 in this one, 3 Ks, but striking out, making the 1 count, helps win the previous one, and he starts out the scoring in this one, coming across the plate, gave us the 1-zip lead. Braves, like I said, leaving a lot of guys on, just felt like, they should have had more runs than they did. Shouldn't have been as close as it was. But hey, we won in the end. It's 6 of 13 runners in scoring position. That's leaving them 7 guys in scoring position. But like the fact you had 13 opportunities with someone in scoring position. In total, the Braves left 13 people on base in this. So, left the bases loaded twice. So to leave 13 people on base, 7 of those left in scoring position, and you still, and Max Fried, your ace, not, getting hit hard in the 4th, not hit hard, but, racking up some runs in the 4th inning. Like, all that seems like a recipe for disaster on the road, but the big 3, each with 3 big hits. That's why the Braves win this game. That's why we have a chance to win this series today. In just a minute, we will be going for 3 of 4 in this series. Going for the series win. Pirates going to try to split it with us because it's a 4-game series. But I think the Braves, we need some good momentum, man. We got 4 games against the Mets up in Flushing. Then we got the Yankees coming down to Atlanta. And neither one of those teams is great right now. But you better believe they're going to bring it when they play the best in fucking baseball, baby. But we still got one more against these Pirates. You're going to have Bryce Elder, who trying to get it back right. Rough outing last time. Not looking good. But I believe in you, Bryce. Even though I'm your Elder. You're superior at baseball than me by far. And no matter what people say, we're going to have hopefully a nice performance. It would just be nice, especially considering how much we've used our bullpen recently. And we do not have a day off coming up. It would be really nice to get some innings out of our starter. It would be nice to see if we can get Bryce Elder, keep him out there till like the 6th inning at least. Because it's just been a rough stretch, not just for Bryce, but like the entire pitching staff. And our closer's not available. Probably some other guys. I wouldn't be surprised. Colin McHugh probably not available. Maybe we'll see Tonkin or somebody. But that's why we need some innings. Bryce Elder, need a bounce back game from our boy. And I feel confident he can deliver for us on that. Some other stuff. I did see Jared Schuster scoreless yesterday for Gwinnett. So that's something to keep in mind going into the final stretch of this season as the Braves still trying to figure out that 5th rotation spot. And really this week we need 6 because we got the doubleheader on Saturday against the Mets. And I think Spencer Strider is supposed to pitch one of those games. The other one's still up in the air. I believe it'll end up being Michael Soroka because I think we've just used you already know I don't like bullpen games. It's not worked out well for us this year, though it's worked in the past, but just not this season so far. And honestly, our bullpen is just too taxed already. Like we're expecting too much out of our bullpen anyway. It's great that they're all healthy, but we push them too much, that might not stay so. Still not waiting to get Chavez back. Dylan Lee should be back soon, but compared to where we were, it's a healthy bullpen. We didn't have AJ Minter, not too long ago, so having him back has been huge. But I just think it's just too much to ask with all these games jammed together. It's going to affect too many games if you go with that bullpen game. So hopefully we'll actually have a starter. I don't know what kind of move they would have to make room for Soroka. But regardless, I do think that would be the move. Because it's going to be too many games in too few days to try to keep the 5-man rotation. And that'll give Soroka another chance. He looked all right his last time up. And I believe he deserves another shot. Because Yanni Chiernos has been all right, but not so good, especially this last opportunity of his. That we still got the win, but I feel like he's not done enough to really lock down that number 5 spot, which is going to be important going down the stretch. It's great having Max, you got Bryce, Charlie, and Spencer, but everybody's going to struggle time to time. We've seen that with Spencer and even Max, but especially with Charlie, not quite the same Charlie Morton as we've had in the past as he approaches my age, or is my age. I think he's the only Brave older than me. Or no, Jesse is. But Charlie's pretty damn close. But either way, he's been pitching a while, and you're going to have some times where you got to adjust to how your body is. And, your arm isn't going to have the same zip it did earlier in his 30s. And I respect the hell out of Charlie Morton. Honestly, I thought he was going to retire after he broke his arm or leg in the World Series or whatever, and then still went out there and was able to get a couple outs, finish it up. I was like, man, that's a good way to go out on top. Get injured, pitch in the World Series, your team wins, you get a ring. But he wasn't done. And I still, just because he struggled, I don't think he's done. I think he's still someone that can come through for you in a big way. Does have, playoff experience. And I think that's going to play into effect. And I still think he'll improve. And Bryce Elder, he was outperforming. He was pitching like an ace for a big chunk of the season. And damn it, we needed him to. Because we were missing our top 2 pitchers from last year, Kyle Wright and Max Fried. Maybe we can still get Kyle Wright back. I'm not counting on it. I've already said that. But there does seem to be the potential to get him back in about a month. But I think a lot of that could affect how how things shape out could affect how much you decide. You don't want to push him back too quick and affect his future because he's still a very young pitcher in relation to overall. But either way, so Soroka, I feel like either Soroka or AJ Smith-Shawver is going to come up and make a start with the Braves, and Soroka would be he's due to pitch any day. So with his rest days, because he pitched last, I think it was like five days ago, maybe 4 to 6 days ago. So they could do him on extended rest, whereas AJ Smith-Shawver might be exactly 5 days, maybe a little bit less from the last time he pitched. So we'll see what happens with that. They got another guy pitching today that is a top potential prospect that some people, I honestly forgot to write his name down. He spent most of the year hurt, so it doesn't seem like he is going to probably come up, especially not for this weekend. So I think it'll be Soroka, and I think Smith-Shawver would be the other guy in the running to come up for that start just because of the way the rest works out. And give him a chance, because I still think Soroka, he has shown us enough to at least get another opportunity. I wasn't really sure how I felt about sending him down just for Yanni Chirinos. Yanni, what he's seeing, but just, he's not, better than Soroka necessarily. I mean, maybe he's not worse, but I think Soroka has a little more potential, especially with the future of the team and him. Even if he ends up not being a starter, could be someone that comes out the bullpen and gives you some, sort of like McCollum McHugh did, give you a couple innings out of the bullpen. But we'll see what they do with that. So Bryce Elder on the mound, hopefully in a bounce-back performance. Trying to think anything else from this game. It's throwing me off not having my phone. Just try to do this quicker than normal. And, hey, man, I'm just really excited the way Michael Harris II has turned it around after a rough start. I mean, a terrible start to the year, but I think he was just trying to play through injury, then had to miss games with another injury, and especially deal with your back. That's early on in your career, that can really throw off how you swing, how you hit, how you play in the outfield. But just a great sophomore year from him. And Ronald Acuna showing why he is the front runner for MVP, even though Freddie Freeman trying to maybe get himself in that conversation. Freddie does have, slightly higher batter average, drives in more runs, but, obviously not even close on stolen bases. And, it's just, this team is fun to watch, man. And, Ronald, Ozzie, Matt, and Austin are, the first set of 4 teammates to play all 111 or 112 games in. So I don't have my phone to look at the amount of games. But, they're the first time that you had 4 teammates played that many games, without missing to start a year, since the Cincinnati Reds in 1944. Hey, there's that number again. Our lucky fucking number 44 shows up again. Just like in 2021 when the Braves won 44 games before the All-Star break. 44 games after the All-Star break. I still think that was just magical. Either that or just proof that sports are rigged. But I'm going to go with the magical aspect since my team is involved. But the Braves winning that World Series in honor of Henry Hank Aaron, the home run king. I mean, I know Barry Bonds deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, but Hank Aaron will always be my home run king. Best Brave ever. Just what an icon. I really wish I could have met him before he passed. R.I.P. to the GOAT, the great one. And just such a good person from anything you read. And just, all that too. Just the fact that, think about, probably wouldn't have Brian Snitker as our manager if it wasn't for Henry Hank Aaron. Back in the day when he was working for the organization, there was this minor league catcher. And he's like, you know what? You ever thought about managing? You ever thought about coaching? And then 40 years later, that guy leads us to a World Series championship just months after passing of the legend. Just all the little magical touches. And I think we're going to do it again, man. We're going to make Brian Snitker the best Braves manager of all time. I'm sorry, Bobby. But if he wins 2, that puts him on another level. Bobby Cox is always going to be an icon for the Braves. But I'm just saying, with the all-time rankings, regardless of total wins as a Braves manager, if you win 2 World Series and no one else in the team's history has done that, you are on another fucking level. But hey, man, I want to get off here because I want to watch this game. It just started a few minutes ago. I'm already missing it. So I want to post this episode real damn quick. Put it up there on Spotify. Maybe eventually today after the Braves game, I'll put it on YouTube. I've been trying to do that with some of my videos. Babbling Brooks on YouTube. Check it out. But hey, man, hope you all have a great day. Hope the Braves, more importantly, win. Or I guess that's maybe not more important. Depending on who you are and how much I want your day to be good. Because my day will be way damn better. And so will a lot of yours if the Braves can get a win up there in Pittsburgh. Black and yellow, like Wiz Khalifa be saying. But these ain't the Steelers, these are Pirates. Let's not let them steal one from us. Peace out.